Here we are with a marketing master. His name's Joe Vitale. Joe, this is my goal for today. My goal is to help people find the ideas and beliefs that will awaken their ability to market and successfully promote themselves with their product. What has to happen in order for that to occur, or in order for the people that we're reaching out to today to really get the understanding that marketing is important?
Yeah, great question. I mean, basically, without marketing, something terrible happens, and that's nothing. You have to market in one form or another. Either you have to hire somebody to market for you, or you have to do it yourself, because if you don't, nothing will happen. And there's so many stories of businesses or companies or even individuals who were extremely well known during their lifetime. That could have been in the 1800s and 1900s, and they're forgotten today. And the reason they're forgotten today is that nobody is alive to do their marketing. So if you don't do marketing, you die in the marketplace.
And basically, marketing is a consistent thing that has to happen.
Oh, it has to happen all the time. You know, one of the titles of my book is called There's a Customer Born Every Minute, and that was my book on P.T. Barnum. And it's basically reminding you that there is a new customer born every minute, and that new customer does not know who you are, what you do, what you stand for, or what you offer. And that is happening every minute of every day. So if you stop marketing right now, all these new customers that are being born, that are becoming in need of whatever it is that you would normally sell, have no idea you're offering it because you are not telling them.
If you want to listen to more or see what Joe Vitale has to offer, you can go to MrFire.com. Tell us just a little bit about your website so they can get a little bit of understanding of what you do.
Okay. Well, MrFire.com is at www.mrfire.com, and that's basically my nickname. People were calling me Mr. Fire, 15 years ago. They saw me get carried away. You know, I'm Italian, so I start moving my hands and talking too fast and getting all excited, and they said, oh, my God, the man's on fire. So Mr. Fire stuck, and when I first went online, I made my website Mr. Fire, so that's where I'm at online. And that's a portal to all of my different books, all of my different tapes. You mentioned one of my tapes. I have an audio tape set with Nightingale Conant called The Power of Outrageous Marketing. And it's described at MrFire.com, and there's dozens of free articles there. And basically, this is just an extension of me and my own personal interest. I am a marketing guy, but I'm also an author, a metaphysical fellow, a guy that's interested in human development and personal growth and going for your dreams. I have a motto. I dare people to, I tell them to dare something worthy. And whether that's in business or some goal you have in your life, I'm always telling people to dare something worthy. And the Mr. Fire site has all kind of articles and books and tapes and excerpts and even freebies. You know, my Advanced Spiritual Marketing is a free download there. And that's the follow-up to my #1 best-selling book, Spiritual Marketing. So these are all facets of me, and all of them are designed to help you go for your dreams, whether that's in business, that's trying to market yourself better, or it's, you know, a health goal or a relationship goal, whatever it happens to be. I don't limit myself, though I'm better known for the marketing aspect.
As far as with people concerned, I think there's something about giving and having your customers or whoever you're with give them extra than what they're expecting.
Oh, yeah.
And with that, what is it that fuels it for you? And if they don't really look at the customer and what they can give and what they can offer, what will happen in the long term?
Well, they'll go out of business in the long run. You know, you've got to, you under-promise and over-deliver, I think is the little catchphrase that's out there. Basically, you want to delight your customers. You want to delight your clients. You want to make them so ecstatic that they did business with you, that they will never forget you, that they will rave about you to all of their friends and family and clients of their own, so that you get the word-of-mouth marketing going, because word-of-mouth is probably the most powerful form of marketing there is, but it's also the slowest form of marketing. You've got to kick it in by doing your advertising, your publicity, by networking and negotiating and doing all of these other things that I talk about in my various books. And if you don't do all those different things, you'll die. You'll go out of business. A competitor will come up and just bite you in the butt, and before you know it, you're out, you're gone. And I do come from the philosophy of over-giving. I am known to give a tremendous amount of things to my clients. To give you a good example, my most recent book came out on June 4th. It's called The Greatest Money-Making Secret in History. and I wanted to make that book a #1 bestseller, or at least get it to the top 10 the top 10 best-selling list at Amazon. So what I did was arrange to give anybody who bought my book on June 4th from Amazon 19 electronic bonuses. 19. I didn't give them one extra bonus or two extra bonuses or three. I lined up 19 bonuses. Now, these were all digital bonuses, meaning that they buy the book at Amazon. Amazon sends them a receipt by email. They forward that email receipt to my office, and then immediately I give them access instructions on how to download these 19 bonuses. Well, those 19 bonuses didn't cost me anything because they're all electronic. They're e-machines. They're e-products. But they're worth about $2,000 in retail value. I gave that to everybody because I wanted to make them more than happy. I wanted to make them deliriously happy with this offer. As a result, these people who began to buy my book saw the merit of this, saw the 19 bonuses, and just loved them, and began telling other people. So my promotion caused a commotion, and I ended up staying at #3 on the bestseller list for 3 days at Amazon, right behind Harry Potter and Hillary Clinton. And I'm one guy with a computer going up against two of the largest global hype machines known to mankind, and I stayed at #3. Part of the reason was, well, the title of the book is good, The Greatest Money-Making Secret in History, but the other is I gave and gave and gave a tremendous amount for people to help me.
You know, there's something about giving. I have the free downloads page where the customers come. I like to call them clients because I feel like they're under my protection. And my goal is to enrich their lives and give them ideas that can help expand their perceptions. And there's something about giving more. I mean, already the information that's up on the free downloads page is more than the actual product that they originally bought. I think it's about expanding the person's paradigm that you can give more. You can enrich people's lives, and it's not taking away, but you're adding value.
Yeah, that's really the secret. But you're right. It's all based on giving. And I learned about the power of The Greatest Money-Making Secret in History because when I first went online on the Internet back in 93, 94, and I wrote one of the first books on Internet marketing back in 95, the Internet, because it began as this free medium of exchange of information, had this mentality that came with it, that people would go on the Internet and they would expect things for free. It was very hard to get people to buy things on the Internet for the first few years because everybody expected to get it for free. That's what they came to be trained to look for when they went online. Well, I learned the value of that. So I learned to give people things, and I learned that they would buy things from me as long as I gave them what one of my marketing peers calls an ethical bribe. And that's where all of this, my whole mindset and strategy came from to even make this latest book a bestseller at Amazon. I said, spend $14 on my book, and I'll give you $2,000 worth of e-products. Well, that's an ethical bribe, but it's also giving. And from a marketing standpoint, it's a brilliant strategy because people want to do business with you when you're giving so much. It's a win-win for all concerned. I'm selling my book. I'm getting the status of being a best-selling author. They're getting the book. They're getting the message in the book, and they're getting 19 bonuses. Plus, if you look even deeper, the book itself is all about, as you pointed out, it's about giving. So I'm spreading that concept through the world, one person at a time, because every time they buy the book, they read the book, and then they start to use the strategy of giving, I'm making a difference in the world.
Here's something that I'm very curious about, and I see so many people, and it doesn't really matter what business they're in. I've seen everyone from massage therapists to CEOs of their own company or even car mechanics. I see these people that are so talented that have studied their art form so well, but they don't know how to market. And it's very sad to me because I see the passion that goes into their trade, and I wonder, what does it take for these people to get out there and make a difference and start promoting themselves so that they can bring the value to the people? It's just something that's always kind of bothered me a little bit. I see these people out there, and they're so talented, but they don't know what to do.
There's a couple things that's going on. I mean, you're highlighting a great problem and a great point. The first is a lot of people don't know that they need to market. I mean, they just think, I open up my business, just like in the early days, people thought, I put a website up and everybody will come to my door. Well, it's like getting a phone number. No, you can go get a phone number, but nobody's going to call it unless you tell them what your phone number is and you give them a reason to call you. Well, that's marketing in a nutshell. You've got a business, you got a phone number or a website. Well, so what? Nobody's going to call you, nobody's going to visit you unless you tell them and give them a reason to go to you today. So I think the first thing that goes on is people don't know they need to market. That's a belief, that's a reality, that's a principle that they need to take into their being. You need to market. The second is they don't know how to market. And marketing, to me, can be pretty simple. I find that really all I do in my world is share. I share what I'm excited about. So if you're in a business that you really care about and you're delivering a product or service that you really believe in, share why you believe in it. Share your enthusiasm. It's a fundamental principle in selling that enthusiasm sells. Enthusiasm is contagious. So I say, from a marketing standpoint, share what excites you about your product or service in such a way that your prospects will be excited and want to do business with you. So marketing doesn't have to be hard. Marketing can be fun. It can be contagious. It can be uplifting, and you have to do it. Those are the first couple thoughts. And then the third thought that comes up is a lot of people turn their nose up at marketing. They think, oh, my business is so good I don't have to market, or I don't have to advertise, or I don't have to do any publicity. That's a very snobbish, egotistical, closed-minded way of trying to do business. Only at a certain level of business where you've created a brand can you possibly relax your marketing, even then a little bit. But even then it's not a good idea because the top businesses that were around in the roaring 20s during the Great Depression of 1929 and on, who kept marketing, who kept the brand going, are still around today. The ones who back off their marketing, especially during a war, during a recession, during a depression, usually don't survive and prosper after it. So my points are, you have to realize you do have to market or nothing happens. You do have to realize that you can share in your marketing, share your own enthusiasm, and you need to have a positive attitude towards marketing and know that you will always do it. You or somebody you hire have to keep doing it, or you will fall by the wayside. That's it in a nutshell.
There was a quote I got from one of your tapes. You said it's actually more important to be a marketer of what you do than a doer of what you do.
Yeah, that stuck with me too. Winston is a great marketing guy, great speaker, great friend out of Australia. He's out of Melbourne, Australia. Very well known there and in New Zealand. And he is known for that line of, he says, be a better marketer of what you do than a doer of what you do. The point being that you could be the best in the world at making shoes, or the best in the world at creating a pizza, or the best in the world car mechanic. But if you don't tell anybody, nobody's going to come to your door. I mean, you may get a few because of word of mouth, but it won't be enough to keep you going in the prosperous way that you probably long for. However, if you're good at what you're doing, but you become even better at marketing and getting the word out about what you do, you can be enormously busy and enormously wealthy in a very short amount of time. And you'll outdo the competition in 2 winks of the eye.
I'm fascinated by your book. There's a customer born every minute, P.T. Barnum's Secrets to Business Success. Mm-hmm. I've been always fascinated by people in life who seem bigger than normal, that seem almost godlike. Yeah. And there's a common theme among people like, say, Jesus, Houdini, Evel Knievel, Don King, Michael Jackson, Madonna, P.T. Barnum. What is the common theme that elevates these people to this status?
Well, I would say the very first thing is they believe in themselves without any doubt whatsoever. They have an enormous capacity for feeling like what they are doing, what they are saying, what they are promoting is worth it, and you need to know about it. And they are fearlessly, courageously, even outrageously going to go out there and tell the world about it. So there is this self-confidence within them that is staggering. I mean, very few of us even have it to that degree, but I think the point is we need to have it so that we do believe that if we are repairing the cars, that we are the best or one of the best, if not the best in history at repairing Maseratis or Volkswagens or whatever it is that you happen to do. But I believe that they have within themselves this self-confidence, this personal belief that money is good, business is good, what they're doing is good, what they have to offer is good, and they want to get the word out there because they know it'll make a difference to you and to them.
Now, I know you were fascinated by P.T. Barnum. So far, out of all the books I've read about him, your book really taps into more about his belief system. And I've heard on your programs before, everyone thinks that it says there's a sucker born any minute, but that's not true, is it?
No, he never said there's a sucker born every minute. That's one of those myths or folk tales. He never said it. He never thought it. He never wrote it. He treated people with far too much respect. Now, he wasn't above pulling pranks and having hoaxes and things like that, but that was also common in the 1800s. This was a time when we didn't have TVs and radios and the Internet or faxes or phones or you name any of the entertainment pleasures we have today for diversion. He didn't have that, so he provided that. And that was one of the ways he provided it, with hoaxes and with jokes, and people would love it. They ate it up. It's one of the reasons he became one of our country's first millionaires is because he provided the entertainment that people wanted. Now, as for P.T. Barnum, the man, he was absolutely fascinating. He was an author. He was a speaker. He was a mayor. He ran businesses. He was an entrepreneur. He was a circus promoter in the later part of his life. He ran a museum and became one of the most popular, famous museums in the world, at Barnum's American Museum in downtown New York in the 1800s. He made people that were unknown famous, like Jenny Lind and General Tom Thumb and General Stratton and some other ones during his heyday. One of the things I found fascinating about Barnum was his ability to look at what the world saw every day, but he saw something bigger in it. And I can give you a couple examples. The very first one is there was a little tiny boy in Bristol, Connecticut, that everybody talked about because it was so unfortunate that this little boy was not growing. He was just going to stay a runt. He was going to stay a very small midget. Well, everybody just saw him as a little boy who wasn't growing. P.T. Barnum looked at him and said, aha, I will change this little boy, whose name was George Stratton, into General Tom Thumb. And he mega promoted that guy and made him so famous that that little man became a millionaire, became world famous, and we still know of him today, and he died 150 years ago. So Barnum saw what everybody else was seeing, but his eyes were open to opportunities. The same thing was going on when P.T. Barnum owned this big mansion along the railroad tracks in Connecticut, and people would take the train through Connecticut to go into New York City. Well, Barnum saw the train go by every day, just like everybody else saw the train go by every day, but Barnum saw a major opportunity. So he went and hired 2 giant elephants to plow the front yard of his home. Now, these are elephants, which were not seen very common in the 1850s and 1860s, plowing this property, which, of course, had to be a bizarre sight anyway. And why did he do it? Because all those people that were riding on the railroad, going past his house in the train, going into New York City, looked out the window and thought, oh, my God, there's an elephant plowing P.T. Barnum's house. That was an advertisement for Barnum. These people were going to New York, which just happened to be where his American Museum was housed. So they all ended up going to the museum, too. So, again, Barnum would just see what everybody else saw. It was just right there in front of them, but Barnum's eyes were open. He saw an opportunity, and he acted on it. That's another reason why I just love the guy. He was a genius.
How do you think someone develops that skill of seeing opportunities where others don't?
Well, that's a great question. I think that it takes practice. I think that what we have to do is read these stories like about P.T. Barnum, or reading my book, There's a Customer Born Every Minute, about P.T. Barnum, and starting to play with possibilities, starting to ask yourself, what would Barnum do if he saw this? And I can give you an example. Several years ago, and this might have been 4 years ago at this point, somebody on eBay was selling a mermaid, and I wanted that mermaid. Now, I didn't know what the mermaid looked like. There wasn't a picture. It just said, I got a mermaid, and that's for sale. Well, P.T. Barnum had a mermaid. I wanted a mermaid since I'm a P.T. Barnum scholar and a disciple. So I tried to bid on it, and I did get it. And I remember not being able to wait. I was so excited. I couldn't wait for this mermaid to arrive, and I was living in Houston at the time. And 3 days after I won the bid, I go out to the mailbox, and there's this big priority mail box, and I knew it was the mermaid. So I rip it open, and I'm going inside, and I pull it out, and I unwrap it, and I took one look, and I thought, geez, this is awful. This is disgusting even. This is like some kind of fish wax thing melted together with a little handmade face on it. I mean, I felt like an idiot. So I put it aside, and I thought, I'm never telling anybody about this. Well, later that night, I'm laying in bed, and I'm thinking to myself, well, what would P.T. Barnum do? And I thought, God, am I an idiot or what? And I jumped up, and I wrote a news release that said, P.T. Barnum expert suckered into buying mermaid. And I issued it, and I got radio interviews. There was a newspaper that did a story on me. A couple legal magazines did articles about this. So I turned what looked like a disaster into publicity. I did the same thing a couple of years after that when I decided to see if I can get a lot of traffic on eBay by creating a celebrity mermaid out of the mermaid I owned. So I had Narissa, my girlfriend, who does a lot of video editing and photography type work, take a picture of my existing mermaid. Then she put it in her computer and fiddled with it and made an Elvis mermaid out of that mermaid. She made a picture, and we called it the Elvis mermaid. We put it online and put it up for sale. And we got all kind of, I had a radio show that did 3 interviews with me because they all wanted to know the story on the Elvis mermaid. And that radio show actually bid and won the Elvis mermaid picture. So the whole point of this is I started with thinking I was an idiot for bidding on some stupid mermaid and winning it, then began to think, what would Barnum do? Expanded my mind, stretched the possibilities, and get a couple more wins out of it. News release, more publicity, then evolved into the Elvis mermaid. So the answer to your question, I think we just have to start thinking differently and exploring options and pretending a little bit, just stretching our mind and role-playing and saying, what would Barnum do? Or what would some of the greatest promoters of all time do? Or what would a legendary billionaire business person do? And just stretch your mind with the questions.
And you also talk about the larger vision that Barnum looked after for the people. It seems like he was bringing something to them. He was giving them excitement in a mundane world. To your average person, how could that come across in their own business so that they can start seeing a bigger picture, so that they can start incorporating their own business, but to make a difference?
Well, there's probably numerous different ways to look at it. The most obvious one for me is I had written another book back in 1990 or so called The 7 Lost Secrets of Success. And in it I say one of the lost secrets is revealing the business nobody knows. And what I mean by that is you could be a shoemaker, you could be an auto repair person, you could be a cell phone designer, you could be a graphic artist. I don't know what the business is that your listeners are in. It's probably across the board, and there's all kinds of different ones. But the people who come to you don't know your business. So if you reveal the business nobody knows, you can enrich them and engage them by sharing with them the inside secrets of your business. Now, I'm not necessarily saying tell them how you do what you do, but I'm saying tell them the story behind what you do. Maybe tell the story of how you got into your particular business, why you love your particular business, why you enjoy doing whatever it is that you do in your particular business. Reveal the business nobody knows. I think that's the first level that you can work on to engage people and get them to befriend you. On a bigger scale, you might consider what we started talking about at the beginning of this conversation and find ways to give. And whether you're giving to your community, you're giving to your city, you're giving to your state, you're giving to your country, you're giving to the world, find some way to make contributions. Maybe a percentage of what you bring in goes to a worthy cause. My book on Bruce Barton, which was The 7 Lost Secrets of Success, he was a congressman, founder of one of the largest advertising agencies in the world, BBDO, best-selling author, and so forth. When I was doing my research on him, I found that he had donated all of his written works, all of his rights, to the Institute for the Crippled and Disabled in New York. And I think, well, that's a wonderful thing to do. I mean, we all should be helping others. And anybody in business can find a way to do this. Find your own personal cause and support it, but let your patrons know that you're also doing it. Those are some thoughts.
A lot of people, I think, have the notion that being rich and wealthy is bad or you have to take advantage of people.
Right.
But in reality, a lot of these multimillionaires, from Andrew Carnegie to Napoleon Hill, these people gave millions of dollars. What has to happen to break the paradigm or the mindset of making money is not bad? It's actually a good thing, and you can help a lot more people with money that you do have.
Yeah, that's a great point. There's a lot of people who have limiting beliefs about business and money. Money in itself is not bad. Business in itself is not bad. You know, there are individuals who make bad choices, and that ends up causing harm to different people. I think that we're always at choice, and I think that we can choose what we want to believe. In my book, The Greatest Money-Making Secret in History, I have this chapter where Mandy Evans, a beliefs counselor, wrote down something like 47 different beliefs that were limiting people. And they're everything from, and I'm going to read a few of them, money is the root of all evil. The actual quote is, the love of money is the root of all evil. Money as in itself is neutral. Another quote is, if I am successful, people will hate me. Another one is, if I make $1 million, I might lose it, and then I would feel stupid and hate myself forever. Oh, and there's other ones I could read in here. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. You should always use money well. Money is hard to deal with. Money is hard to get. You have to work hard to get it. Money is not spiritual. Accepting money obligates me. Never buy anything that you don't need. I mean, all of these are limiting beliefs. They are simply beliefs, and you can choose to accept them or you can choose to change them. And I think your statement that some of the wealthiest people in the world have made some of the massive differences to us is right on. I mean, Carnegie giving so many libraries to the world, and Getty donating so many museums. I mean, these people have made a difference, and that's how I choose to handle my own wealth, is to make a difference in the people around me. So we can all do that. Money does not have to limit us. If it is limiting you, it's a negative belief.
And when you do make a difference, the overall vision or purpose that you're pursuing in life gets accelerated. It becomes bigger because not only are you affecting them, but in the larger picture, they're affecting the people they come in contact with.
Yes, absolutely. You know, in the movie The Matrix, and they say Reeves is the one, you are the one. Well, you are the one. The person listening is the one. You are the one that can change what's going on in the world, and the way you do it is by changing your own beliefs, doing whatever you can to make your own difference in your business, your life, your family, your neighborhood, and through extending that to the world itself. You are the one who could make the difference.
A lot of times people conceptualize the marketing, but they don't really have a story to follow of what it is. And I like to use metaphors and analogies. And if I could say marketing is like what would be a metaphor that could help them grasp the ideas?
Oh, boy, that's a great question. Well, the most obvious one that's used the most, which I do not like, is that marketing is like warfare. And that's coming from the competition standpoint, which I do not care for. I don't believe that. I believe that we can cooperate and actually get far better results. So I'll just note that that one's out there, but we don't need to buy into it. The other one that most obviously comes to mind is marketing is like seduction. You know, you have to get the other person's attention, you have to woo them, court them, show them what's in it for them, and have a win-win where everybody is smiling at the end of it.
What are the things that you've seen by teaching people how to market and enriching others that they've had effect in the world?
Well, I guess, I can answer on different levels because I have a book called Spiritual Marketing that was a #1 bestseller a year ago and still selling well. And I get stories every day from people who have used the 5 principles in it to land a job when they were broke, or to land a contract when they didn't think one was coming, or to get the relationship, or even to heal things that they didn't think were going to be healed. And those are always, in my mind, miraculous. And my latest book, The Greatest Money-Making Secret in History, has only been out a couple weeks, and I'm already getting emails from people, and one person said, I read your book about giving, and I decided to give $100 to my father who really needed it, and the next day I landed a contract for $4,300 and some dollars. You know, those kind of stories are pretty common, and they're starting to come in from just my latest book. And then from the marketing standpoint, I mean, I've had clients go on Oprah. I've had people get national television coverage, national newspaper coverage. I've had people get on the front page of the Wall Street Journal, get in USA Today, be written up in Publishers Weekly. I've had people become #1 bestsellers, pick up major contracts. I mean, geez, the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah, that's
it's truly amazing.
Well,
Actually, let me real quickly say that I have another website. It's at the hypnoticmarketinginstitute.com. And at hypnoticmarketinginstitute.com, there's a free download called The Proof. And The Proof contains, I think, 180 or 140 pages of nothing but these kind of stories that you're asking for, of everyday people who use the principles in my Outrageous Marketing, Spiritual Marketing, or in some of my other books and tapes, and they achieved colossal results. They all wrote in, and it's in a book called The Proof, which you can download for free at hypnoticmarketinginstitute.com.
One more question for you.
Okay.
If you were going to prepare someone to venture off into the business world, but you only had 3 minutes to prepare them for their journey,
okay,
what marketing advice would you give them so that they could receive the most information and knowledge in the most condensed time?
Wow. I think the very first thing I would say is set an intention for what you want. State your goal, because your goal, your intention, your desire will direct what happens next. So state your intention. Do you want to make so much money? Do you want to have a particular result? Whatever it happens to be, write that down as your declaration of intent. That's your goal. It will frame and move your energies to go in that direction. That's the first thing. The second thing I would say is read all of the books by Dan Kennedy and John Caples and even myself. But Dan Kennedy, John Caples, and my books are all the ones that have been around for a long time that give you the nuts and bolts of marketing, advertising, and promoting your business. And then the last thing that I would say, given that I would only have 2 or 3 minutes, is that I would say get local publicity. So if you are the car salesman or the babysitter or the shoemaker or whatever you happen to be in your neighborhood, let the media know. Tell them your story, because the media is starving for news. Now, you have to give them news, but you have to let them know you're there. Otherwise, it's just like not marketing. Nobody will ever know. But if you let the media know, they can help you. There's a quote by P.T. Barnum, who said he owed most of his wealth to the presses of the United States, meaning that he worked publicity and that worked him. So those would be my 2 or 3 tips, given just 2 or 3 minutes to say them.
A lot of people are afraid of the media. They think that they have to have some huge story. In the book, they said there was 3 ways of getting attention from the media. You either have to align with something that's going on in the media. You have to either create something newsworthy, and the third one I forgot.
Well, I've forgotten the third one, too. I believe it was tie your story to current news, create current news, or the third one might be to make news. That's probably the third one. So the tie to current news might be look at what's going on in the world right now and find a way to tie yourself to it. And just making up an example, there's a war going on, and say you're the shoemaker in your vicinity. Well, maybe you should comment on the kind of shoes that are needed for them to be in war. And I'm just thinking out loud because this might be a stupid idea, but on the other hand, it might be something that's never been addressed, and the media might like it. The point being, find out what is going on in the news and find a way to align yourself with it. Comment on it, find a way to merge your business, your story to that story, and let the media know about it. So the first would be to tie yourself to the news. What was the second one?
To create your own news.
No, to create your own news. And that's everything from you can run a contest, you can have a survey, you can do something unusual, you can have an opening night at your store. You can have a celebrity contest or a celebrity look-alike contest. Again, I'm just thinking out loud. But whenever you create this news, you let the media know that this news is going on. So tie your business to news, create news, and I guess we did forget the third one.
But the first 2 are important enough to get that. And that's what a lot of these people like Houdini and Madonna and Don King, these people are masters of that.
Right, absolutely. And anybody can do it.
Well, Joe, I really appreciate this, and I know the people looking to expand their mind or their perceptions, I believe, will enjoy this. Like I said, if you want to give another pitch to your website, which I highly recommend to go there because there's a lot of knowledge on Mr. Fire or Joe Vitale's website that you can go to. So I'll let you end it, and just want to say I appreciate it and say what you got to say to help them out.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak, because I've enjoyed this. These are great questions. I want to remind everybody that you're in business for a reason. You enjoy it. You see that you can make money doing it. You can make a difference in some way. Go for that. Share that. Don't be bashful about that, and let the media know about that. Get them to help you because they can literally make you rich. And begin to think outside of the box. Do something different. Think like P.T. Barnum or whoever you admire as a promoter, and read some of the great books from Dan Kennedy, John Caples, and if you don't mind a plug, my own books by Joe Vitale. Visit my site for free information. It's at www.mrfire.com, MrFire.com. And don't forget to check out the other site I mentioned, HypnoticMarketingInstitute.com, and download The Proof, which I think you'll find inspiring because there's a lot of stories of people, average people, just like you, just like the ones listening, who did something different, who did one of these principles, did one of these things we've been talking about, and saw their business skyrocket in one form or another. So anybody can do it, and you are the one.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
All right. That was great, man. There was